Buffett is sitting on a huge cash pile again. That sounds boring, but it isn't. Because when Berkshire gets this defensive, it usually means Buffett is looking at the market and not finding enough worth buying. And that should make you stop for a second, because the last times Berkshire looked like this, Buffett was not being lazy. He was waiting. And that difference matters. So here is the question. When was the last time Berkshire looked this defensive relative to its size? And what does that tell us now? Most people focus on the cash number. I think the more useful number is the ratio. Not just how much cash Berkshire has, but how big that pile is compared with Berkshire itself. That tells you much more, because when that ratio gets high, one thing is usually happening. Cash is building faster than attractive ideas. And that is why this matters. Buffett does not hold excess cash because he likes cash. He holds it when price, risk, and opportunity stop lining up. So when I look at this table, I do not see just money, I see restraint. Let's go back to the early 2000s. The market was full of excitement. Tech was flying. Investors were paying huge prices for future growth. And Buffett? He looked completely out of touch. Too slow, too cautious, too old school. But what looked slow then looked disciplined later. And that is one of the clearest lessons in the table. When the markets gets carried away, Buffett gets quieter. Not because he stops believing in investing, because he stops believing in the price. And you see that again in the mid-2000s. It's different cycle, but same behavior. He still is not finding enough worth doing. That continues to be a pattern with him. When markets get expensive, Buffett is willing to look inactive for a long time. And that is hard, because patience usually feels wrong before it feels smart. And here is the part most people miss. A huge cash pile does not automatically mean Buffett is calling a crash. Sometimes it just means something very simple. He just does not like the menu that is out there on the market. Okay, let's move back. Then the pattern is flipping. After the financial crisis, the ratio comes down. That matters, because now he's not waiting, he's deploying, and that is the real role of cash. Not comfort, not safety. Buying power when fear changes the odds. That is how I think about Buffett. He's not trying to stay busy, he's trying to stay ready. Long periods of patience and then tack, 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 tack. Real action when price and quality finally meet. So when the ratio falls after a crisis, that tells you something too. It tells you the market finally started offering terms he lacked. And looking at the table, we are back in a familiar place. The cash pile is high again, probably the highest. Not because cash is exciting, but because Berkshire seems to be in another stretch where attractive opportunities are harder to find. That does not prove a crash is next. It tells me something more useful. Buffett standards are high. And that is the real lesson here. That is not really about whether Buffett is bullish or bearish. It is about what happens when your standards stay high in a market that keeps tempting you to lower them. And that is the part I care about in my own journey. I'm not trying to copy Buffett's scale. I'm trying to learn and copy the discipline. And if I'm holding cash or even just waiting before adding more, I want the reason to be clear. It's not fear. It's not hesitation. I want better odds and better setup. A business I would genuinely want to own more of if the market gave me the chance, because holding back only makes sense if you already know what would deserve your capital later. So when I look at Buffett's cash pile, I do not just see a warning, I see a reminder. Doing nothing can also be a serious investing decision. And sometimes it is the right one. I'll keep documenting the journey. And join my channel Monday and Thursday. I'm publishing the videos here. Thanks. Bye-bye.